Dubai is a place where image matters. And if anyone is telling you anything different, do not believe them. Today's guest is going to talk to us about image and why perception is so important, either as an entrepreneur who is starting or growing their business, or even as a corporate professional who is looking to climb the corporate ladder. Today, we're going to dig into why playing it small can be keeping huge opportunities away from you and what you can do about it. Welcome back to Revenue Without Borders, the podcast where we make global business simple. Today, I am joined by Paul Fishman. He's an entrepreneur, he's a coach, and he's the creator of Image Alchemy. Paul helps people stop playing it small and start showing up authentically so they can succeed both in business and in their personal life. So if you've ever struggled with showing up authentically, your personal branding, or just stepping into your true identity, this is a conversation that you will not want to miss. So join me as I welcome Paul Fishman to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
As I was just mentioning to you, this whole idea of imagery and who you are and personal branding is something that I find to be a struggle as an entrepreneur. And I'm sure many of our listeners also find it to be a struggle. But before we jump into the topic itself, I wanted to kind of just set the conversation with what is, in your mind, personal branding.
Oh, well, let's just talk for the entire time about that. But personal branding to me is an opportunity to show who you are without having to say a word. And whether that be with your marketing on your website or even just the way you dress, personal branding is something that embodies your purpose, your passion, your mission, your ethos of who you are as an individual from the second you wake up, well, really 24/7. And it can feel really daunting and really big. And also, once you understand it and acknowledge how important it is, it starts to be really fun because it helps you acknowledge what is in alignment for you and what just needs to be kicked to the curb.
That's amazing. I love that definition on, kind of people knowing who you are without you having to say a word. And, someone who's been in the corporate space for many, many years, I often talk about the fact that lawyers in particular, we are stifled on personal branding from the moment we get that law firm offer. Like it's literally written in our summer program. Before we join the firm, it says things like dark suit, white shirt, dark heels. Like it tells you what you should wear as a first year associate. And in my mind, that creates such a challenge for not just lawyers, but professionals generally, that when you want to start discovering who you are, you kind of have to deprogram yourself.
Yes. Well, it's all about trying to fit into a box of what someone else says you have to be. And I think this is like a really big issue for us as humans in general is trying to fit in, trying to feel like we belong and that we're worthy of taking up space. And a lot of times, if we don't rock the boat, if we show up in the way that other people say we are meant to show up, we will at that point not have to worry about being rejected, not have to worry about being ostracized, not have to worry about getting it wrong. Because if someone else tells me this is how you're supposed to show up, this is how what you're supposed to wear, I am safe. And at like a big picture level, our brain is just trying to keep us safe. And from an ancestral standpoint, we were trained to like run from the saber-toothed tiger. So that type of feeling of not belonging and not feeling safe goes back to like this primal need for survival. So wearing the bright colored suit after everyone says don't do that, that can almost feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And it's this gentle switch that we get to do in our brain of trying little things out and realizing that, oh, wait, wearing what I want to wear or talking about the things that I want to talk about or spending time with the people that I enjoy is actually going to add to my life, not take away from it. And I think that that's like a big message that's easy to hear, but very, very hard to implement.
As I listen to you talk about this, I can tell you have dug into this issue and looked at it so many different ways. And you are the creator of Image Alchemy. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how did you realize that that was an important mission for you to start?
Hmm, where do we begin? So, for me, Image Alchemy is an amalgamation of all of the things that I've done as an entrepreneur over the past almost 15 years. And from starting a food startup as the chief marketing officer, not knowing anything about anything, but I knew I liked social media. So I'm like, I'm going to do the marketing stuff, to now having my own business and focusing on how we dress inside and outside. What I know to be true is that if we are doing it for someone else's validation, we are going to land short of what it is we need to accomplish. And this is a big, crunchy, hard experience for entrepreneurs, for corporate folk, for anyone who is working in tandem with trying to solve a problem for a client or humans, because we're client facing, people are looking at us, what we're doing. So Image Alchemy came about because I am a stylist amongst many other things. And so many of my clients would come to me and say, okay, I'm going to this event. I need to look amazing. I need to look amazing. I want everyone to think that I am XYZ. And there was always this missing piece of like, how do you want to feel? I want to feel amazing. I want to feel confident. I want to feel like I own the room. There was no I in the statement when it came to how they wanted to feel or the validation. It was always external, external, external. And I found that people would invest lots of money in clothing and they would sit there in their clothes and they'd be like, well, this doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel, because there's so much underneath this experience of getting dressed. We need to give ourselves permission to actually embody who we are as humans, as individuals, and use our clothes as an opportunity to elevate that. And a lot of us are just running around chasing trends. Oh, if it's $10,000 for a suit, I'm gonna be the best version of myself in it. And I just knew that if I was able to give people this holistic styling experience where we're not only choosing the clothes, but we're looking at the internal dialogues that are happening, we're getting clear understanding of their why, their purpose, how they want to show up for themselves and others, we can then use the clothes to support and embody that, alchemize the two, the inner and the outer, and build this wardrobe that is supportive of what we talked about at the beginning, the personal brand. So a lot of people come to me and they're just like, okay, I'm ready for my wardrobe change. And I was like, we're not going to look at clothes for the first like 2 months. And at least because I need to understand who you are. And people are like, well, I mean, I'm a lawyer. I'm a this, I'm a that. And I'm like, okay, but who are you? They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So it's really fun. Um, and that's how it came about. It was me having this background in life coaching, styling people and being like, wait, you need more. And you trust me to dress you. So do you trust me to help you kind of build this bigger version of yourself? And I'm very grateful for all the people who have said yes. And it's just been so empowering and exciting.
So many thoughts I have after hearing you say that. I guess where I'll start first is, we talk about entrepreneurship a lot on the show, and we talk about how it's a journey in self discovery. It's not just the business, it's you getting to know yourself after so many years of maybe not knowing yourself, right? What do you like?
Mhm.
What are you good at? What are you comfortable doing? And for me, I found that when I was kind of tossed into this sea of entrepreneurship, I had a lot of self-discovery to do. And when it came to fashion, yeah, I mean, suits are safe. I know suits, right? I can put on a suit, I can wear it anywhere, any time of day. I know how to walk, talk, dress, feel. It's just kind of like the uniform. But when you take away the suit, it's like, oh, wow, what do I wear? And, for me, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of listeners out there, I always fell back to, and I think I still to today, to underdressing because I don't want
Mm,
the attention. And I feel like, you guys don't need to know me. I'm going to wear these ripped jeans and this Ice Cube t-shirt. I'm going to go about my day. And hey, I see the celebrities do it when they don't want paparazzi looking at them. That's kind of like my mindset. But I also found that doing that, I didn't feel I didn't feel as good about myself as I could have. It put me in sort of like a work mode where it's all about the work. It's not about taking care of myself and feeling my best.
mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. No, I think that it's really beautiful to witness you acknowledging that. And another way that we could reframe this idea of not wanting to be seen is playing small and saying, okay, well, in this part of my life where I don't have to wear the suit, it doesn't matter as much as the parts where I do. And of course, this is, conditioning from capitalism. This is conditioning from so many things of like when you're not in the purpose of making money or driving something, you don't matter as much. And this has been like a massive, like every day reminding of myself that, okay, Paul, you didn't generate any income today, but you did a lot of great things. You had great conversations. You feel good about yourself. You had a wonderful meal or you met a new person, and nothing had anything to do with driving the needle of your business, but you showed up as your personal brand and who you are, and you didn't say no to the desire of showing up that way. Even though I just said, like, it's all about just like consistency across the board and not worrying about whether you're making money or not. Like, if you are embodied in your personal brand and if you give yourself permission to fully show up as the owner of who you are, doors will always be opening for you. So it's like releasing this need to not be seen, to relax, because we've also been told that, like, if we're not wearing the suit, if we're dressed down, we can relax. And I think that if relaxation is a pillar of your personal brand, that's amazing. And I support that 100%. But again, like asking yourself these questions, am I putting on these things because I don't want to be seen, because I don't want to have this conversation, because I want to play small? Or am I putting it on because it feels really good for me? And a lot of people have a hard time answering that question too.
Wow. So now we are deep in the trenches of understanding why we wear certain things. And, I would
10
even,
minutes in.
10 minutes in, we are in the trenches because okay, so this is my takeaway. And I've seen this on social media. I'm on TikTok quite a bit. And, as every social media platform has its different way of presenting information that succeeds versus others. Most of my viral content on TikTok is me looking the worst. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt, a V-neck t-shirt, makeup is off. I'm laying in the bed and I'm like, you know what? Today was a crazy day. Why does that happen? Maybe you can, and I think you kind of touched upon that
Mhm.
a bit more. Tell us more of what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think that it's because that's very relatable, because we all are in this feelings. I mean, we always have to be on in this world of social media, and especially as entrepreneurs. You are your bottom line. So if you're not on, like, maybe your team isn't going to get paid, or something big could happen. Like, people rely on you. So the concept of wearing the like looking the worst and showing up and doing it anyway, I think especially on TikTok, people are looking to feel not alone. They are looking to feel like they're relatable and they can relate to you. And everyone wants to just lay in bed and FaceTime with their friend. So I think it's less about how you look and more about that social media platform, because you when I do an analysis, because this is a pillar of what I do within Image Alchemy, is like we're looking at full circle your brand, how you show up online, how you embody yourself in a meeting room, but also, in the world. And and TikTok in itself is just meant for quick. It's meant for like entertainment. It's meant for connection. The algorithm is really, really beautifully trained to give you solutions to your problem. So this is also a really big question that I'm always asking my clients and reminding them is like, you are the solution. Embody the solution. What does the solution look like? What does the solution feel like? You are the solution to your clients' problems, to the companies you want to work with, to everyone's problems. And if you walk around a solution, not only does that feel really good, but you're always going to be met with positive engagement, whether that's in real life or online, because you are solving someone's problem. And it might just be one person. I actually posted to social media yesterday. I'm in LA. I'm from New York, but I'm in LA with a client who saw one of my videos, and it was a video that was like did not perform that well, like under 1,000 views. But this person saw it, and then we connected in our DMs, and she's my longest term client. She We've been working together for over a year, and I've been her creative director on photo shoots, and she just filmed a TV series, like all of these things that we've been able to do together, all because I posted a video that didn't do that well. And, you never know who's watching, and you never know what opportunities are going to arise from you just showing up. So yes, we can get really scared of showing up and not looking perfect, but I think that's what people are looking for. It's hard to say, like, when you're listening to this, I don't know if you can relate, but like sometimes like you just don't know who your audience is. And if you get clear on who your audience is, that's the real magic.
How important is this showing up for entrepreneurs, people who have a product or a service and they're just coming out of the workforce and like, yeah, I'm going to sell cupcakes or I'm going to sell, my nail service. How important is it for them to sort of be part of the brand?
Well, right now, the founder's story is really popular. It's almost a guaranteed way to be successful almost. But you also have to have that, je ne sais quoi. You have to have like the willingness to do it. The thing, again, that I focus on with my clients is we're not going to force ourselves to do anything that doesn't feel good unless you know that like you want to do it and there's a block. But if it's just like, if social media, like you've been trying it, we've removed all the blocks, we've gotten clear that it you don't want it to be a part of your journey, then like I'm going to push you to just not do it, because I think that there's two sides of the pendulum. Like the founder story, yes, is amazing, but what founders do we want to watch? We want to watch engaging founders who have this great story, who are really involved in the product. We don't just want to watch someone like, look at me making cupcakes, I'm doing this because I have to. Like I've seen those videos and they go viral, but it's just like not for the right reason, for the, oh, I can relate to this person because they don't like what they're doing. And I don't want to buy a cupcake from someone who doesn't like what they're doing. I recently saw this woman who was like crying on camera, being like, I just hate having to show up on social media, and it's the only way to build my brand. Girl, no, it's not. There are so many other ways you can build your brand. You can hire someone to do it for you. There's so many creators who desperately want to be a face of a brand, like, and you can find someone who's within your means. Yes, it's easier said than done, but there's always a solution to the problem. And I think getting stuck in this box, if I have to do this to be successful, is really what is going to do a disservice to your long-term mission, especially if it just does not feel good and it's not going to serve you. There's two different sides of the story though, because there are those people who like know that social media is the way, but they're just terrified of it because either they don't know how to do it, or they're they don't they can't embody the version of themselves that is doing it quite yet. So it's really an opportunity for introspection.
This is so interesting because it sounds like you're saying like some people start out and they know they have the business that they need to promote and so they're working on their personal branding to be able to do that. But they may also along the way discover that hey, I am the product. Like yeah, I was, making cupcakes, but this is the product and you're going to buy this now,
Hmm.
right? Like have you ever had a
Hmm.
client that had that charisma, or you felt like, hey, I know you were selling cupcakes when we started this, but now, baby, you are the cupcake.
I do. I have. So I currently work with a client who's a lawyer, and it's really fun because she is all about suiting, but we do the coolest suits together. And she shows up on social media, and she's a family law attorney, and of course, like just speaking about a lot of divorce, and it can be like a really sad, like topic to talk about. Is just like the ending of this love story, and she started just talking about things that excite her within the legal case. Um, I know my legal terms, the legal case. What are you talking about, Paul? Within the legal space, the realm. And she is just shining so bright on social that now people are hiring her because of her social media. Like maybe they'll look at her case study, her cases and her track record, but they're hiring her because of how she shows up on social media. They're hiring her because of the podcast that she has. They're hiring her because of her personal brand. And even more so, just again, another piggyback on the story of how important it is to be embodied in who you are. I had a referral from her reach out to me who saw an outfit that my client was wearing and said, I need that outfit. I need that. Like, I want to be like that. So they get in touch with me and I'm like, okay, we need to set up a call. And she was like, no, 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 no. I just need the outfit. I was like, well, are you interested in talking a little bit more about like how I can support your work in the legal field and like showing up and embodying your personal brand? She was like, sure, yes, we can schedule a call, but I just need this outfit. So I said, fine, I'll break all my rules. I'll order the outfit for you. We ordered the outfit. A week later, oh, I need to return this. I don't like this. It doesn't work for me. It's not. I can't. And I was like, mhm. And we had the phone call as well. You know, my favorite part about being an entrepreneur, you get ghosted because they're like up against this wall of like ready to do the work, but so terrified to do it. So here I am, just like, okay, I knew this was going to happen because you put it on and you expect to look and feel and it be embodied like my client that you saw wearing the outfit, but you don't. And oh, wow, you want to skip the entire process. And this is a process that a lot of people skip when they're getting dressed. And it's really interesting to witness it. It's like, no, I just want to buy the shoes. I just want the bag. I just want and that's the easiest part, is just swiping the credit card. The hard part is saying, who do I have to be to wear this outfit and show up in the way that will allow me to not feel like this outfit is a ton of bricks on my body, but actually lightens my load.
That's so funny because people try to skip the work, right? It's the work. It's about the
Yeah.
inner work. It's not, I mean, the outcome is the outfit. It's how you look, but it's the inner work, and it's, as you said, that self-love and that self-permission to really show up authentically and kind of who you are. And then on that story, I have an antidote because so I'm based in Dubai, and I befriended on TikTok, as it were, a makeup artist. Actually, no, I hired her to do my makeup, and we just became friends. And she became, for me, a mentor in this self permission, because
Mhm.
she's not just a makeup artist for other people, but she's also herself. She's doing her makeup in the ways that I have never seen before, coming out of the law firm, seeing people like, glamming it up and colors here and colors there. And I guess that's maybe also something else for your clients or people listening, is that you got to surround yourself with that energy, right? Like if you go it alone, it's going to be a bumpy road.
Yep. I'm just letting that settle in. If you go it alone, it's going to be a bumpy road and you might keep on trying things. It's really valuable to have someone or people in your corner who either are doing what you want to do or are like really just hype people for your life. And it feels that sometimes hard to find those people. But again, once you get settled in who you are, it will be easier to call them in because you energetically will know what you need from these people. That it's like, oh, I just want a hype person. Okay, well, what type of hype person do you want? Like, if you're not clear, then you're not going to get
You get
what
the
you
wrong
need.
one.
Yeah. There are lots of wrong hype people in this world.
Paul, what has been, and I'm sure you've had, so many clients, but what has been one sort of memorable experience where you knew the person was playing it small, and how did you help them come out of that?
So I just finished work with a client who, at the end of our work together, invested in opening up a sector of their business that they run a construction business with their husband, their partner, and they had these big dreams and big ideas of what they wanted to do. And the husband was kind of like, we know what we're good at. We're just going to stick with that. Like the idea of doing this other thing, it doesn't really excite me. So I'm just gonna leave that as like the foreshadowing. That's and when I started working with this client, I would get a message from her because we started as just styling clients. And she said, Paul, I love the clothes that you send me. When I put them on, my husband thinks I look amazing, but I feel like I'm a little girl wearing my mom's clothes. Like I feel like I'm a little girl dressing up in these clothes that I don't belong in. Like people are going to be like, who does she think she is wearing these clothes? So I said, okay, it's time. You need image alchemy. You need this opportunity to really explore what's that about. So over the course of 5 months, we dove deep into all of these things that she's doing to sabotage the ability of her expanding to the best version of herself, to the most successful version of herself, to the version of herself that doesn't just rely on a man making her feel valued and like she's enough, like she doesn't have to follow what men are saying. So when we signed off, she said, Paul, I don't want to stop working with you, but I have to take a break because I just invested in opening up my own sector of the business and we're doing the projects that I want to do. And it's like the bubbling up of this emotion for me, just hearing that because just 5 months earlier, she was like, I don't want to, I can't even wear these clothes because I'm just this little girl playing in this big girl's world to making these like massive steps to doing what she wants to do and investing in herself to the fullest. And it was so exciting. Like I wasn't even sad that she was stepping away from our work together because I was like, wow, like this is the reason I do this work. Yes, the clothes are amazing, but if I can empower you to say yes to yourself and stop doubting yourself, that is the true power of image alchemy and really just working with a coach in general. It's like you have someone who can zoom out with you and see you for who you are and then get you to that level. And that's kind of the gift that I have. It's like seeing you and witnessing you, understanding your goals, asking you the questions that are going to get you to open yourself up and be like, huh, never thought of it that way. And then we rebuild. And then here and there, we're throwing in a nice outfit that will then get you really, really grounded in your true identity. They've always existed in there. The version of yourself that is the most successful, most visible, most empowered, they're already inside of you. It just needs a little unlocking and a lot like some gentle support. I get stuck scrolling on these like entrepreneurs who are just like, this you're just on the other side of a massive investment, and once you make that massive investment in yourself, everything's going to change. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What does that actually mean? Everything's going to change. Like, so what you're saying is I just have to join your $50,000 mastermind and I'm going to change because I invested so much money in that. I don't get it. Like there's this the marketing piece for entrepreneurs is very much like if you invest a lot of money in yourself, you will change. And yes, sometimes that happens, but really it's investing time in yourself and the willingness to do the work with the investment financially.
Absolutely. And another thing I'm hearing you say is that sometimes this can impact not just yourself, but those personal relationships that you have in your life.
Yes.
Amen. Hello, lights. The personal
Yeah.
relationships, because if you are tethered to someone who could be holding you back from expressing that side of yourself, or maybe you're a mother that spends too much time caring for others and not caring for yourself,
Mhm.
that will come out in this work. I have a feeling that you're not going to let any of that hide behind the rug, or under the rug rather. You're going to let it all come out.
It's like the crab theory, you know, like if the crabs are all in a bucket and one crab tries to escape, the crabs will pull it back in. Like, and also I was having a conversation with another entrepreneur yesterday, and she said this really powerful statement that about grief in growth, and how there are lots of parts of ourselves that, or versions of our life, that as we grow, we grieve because it's, as you grow, you're elevating, you're expanding, you're welcoming new versions of yourself, and the old version of yourself is leaving. And there's grief in that. And a lot of times we avoid that feeling, that rush of emotion, that why am I so sad right now? Because I just hit this amazing milestone in my business. It's because you're processing saying goodbye to the previous version of yourself that maybe wasn't able to even consider this an option, but you did so much work. And I think that, like, just allowing those feelings and emotions to flow is also something that as entrepreneurs we don't do, because grief, sadness, emotions, tears, crying, those things are viewed as wrong in most of society, just especially for men. And it's just this deep conversation that I'm really like to have with my clients as well. I'm not like, now cry for me or we're not moving forward. It's more of like a, hey, what are you actually feeling? What's scary for you right now? And it's okay to feel things other than success and happiness and joy. Like, behind all of those things, we have to feel the emotions, because if not, they're just going to creep up and sabotage us.
That is so deep. That really is. Trying not to tell all my business on the podcast, so we're gonna move on from that one. But no, I mean, I definitely have experienced, phases in growing my business, whether I'm pivoting from legal and tech to podcast, and my day one followers are like, "Oh, she's pivoting to this now." And there is a bit of grief in taking off the lawyer mask, because I've always used it as a way to be like, I did that, like, I was working at the firm. I did this, I did that. And so part of you still wants to hang on to it. And when you put it down and
Mhm.
you let it go, there is a bit of grief in that. It's growth, because I realize I'm so much more than that. And there's more. I actually made a post on LinkedIn today, like, yeah, I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, still do some legal stuff, content creator, all of this stuff. And we shouldn't limit ourselves to just one title, but there is grief in letting go of that silo, because now you have to explore all these other parts of
Mhm.
you. You can no longer hide from that. I think that the work that you do is, I think people, as they're listening to this, are probably going to understand, like, wow, I have a lot of stuff that I've not unpacked. I don't know if I'm ready for Paul, but it is a serious journey. It really is.
Mm. Yeah. That's the blessing and the curse of being me, is a lot of people are like, "I don't know, like, you're a lot." Like, and I'm like, "No, no, no, your problems are a lot. I'm just here holding a mirror up for you." But I did wanna, circle back, 'cause sometimes I tend to, like, just take these pivots during conversation, not answer the question, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about when there's someone in your life who it feels like might be grabbing your legs as you're flying away, trying to pull you back. And when it comes to the client that I was working with, her partner was always very, very supportive. He just had a different vision of what his business and their business was going to look like. So it was it was supporting her and giving her the permission to say, "Hey, I have a different vision. How do you feel about me taking this opportunity? Are you willing to support me doing that?" And thankfully, he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." It's like it's your business too. It's your it's your money invested how you want. I'm just not going to focus my time on this. Like you are going to have to do it alone, and not in like a I don't want you to do it in a I don't have the space to support this in that way, like with my time and energy. Or but like emotionally, like, yeah, go do it. Like I want you to do that. So there's that type of partner, but then there's also the partner who is witnessing you growing. And the issue is that a lot of times when we grow, we're pushing our partners and the people who are in our lives to level up. So it's like you take one step. If the other person doesn't take a step, they're going to be left behind. And it's all about them. And it's nothing to do with you. It's like keep doing you, but you also have to acknowledge and know that you're going to lose people along the way. And that is the hardest thing about self growth is like if I sign up for this program or I hire this coach or I say I want to quit my 9 to 5 so that I can go all in on my entrepreneurial journey, there are going to be people who are going to be like, who are you? Why do you think that's okay? Absolutely not. Like you cannot do that. And it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And that's the hardest part is taking the ego out of it and being like, oh, wow, this actually just has to do with the fact that this person is terrified of me growing because I'm going to leave them. And I'm not going to leave you if you come with me, but if you're just going to stay there, then yes, you're going to get left behind. But that's not on me. That's on you. And like it's taken me decades to get to that place of those boundaried feelings of like, I'm going to do this. And I run up to this issue a lot with my partner as well, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a new website. It's, a $8,000 investment right now. He'll be like, Excuse me? What? No, 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 no." Like, I remember the last time he did that, I was like, "Uh-huh, and where are we living now? And what did I just buy you last week? And how did I not flinch? And what vacation are we taking?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "This investment gets us to there." And, those 9 to 5ers, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
And we just have to keep on knocking it down and being like, "No, no, I generated this. I will be regenerating this in recurring revenue that I already know is coming in the next 2 months, and this is going to at least serve me for 24 months until my toxic trait is I'm always pivoting." So it's
Me
like
too.
you might be listening to this and I might not even be doing image alchemy anymore, but at least I had an impact on you. And feel free to reach out, but we'll see where I am.
That is so hilarious. I mean, I guess part of what I'm hearing there as well is, and I may have had a couple of these experiences where, like, hey, I'm going to do a photo shoot and I'd like for you to be in it because you are my partner. It's like, oh, cameras again, we have to do, makeup and then outfits and then we've got to go on the location and everything. I got my husband to do this maybe once or twice, once in Singapore. I can't remember if we did it someplace else, but there is, I mean, in these relationships, you're living two different sorts of realities. As you said, entrepreneur, you're always thinking about what's next. What am I going to do next? You have the vision. You have the vision. You see yourself there. And now it's communicating or showing that vision to others. And that can be kind of problematic. But I like how you describe it about self confidence. You're like, look, I know where this is headed. I know what this is going to do for me for 24 months. I know how it's going to look. And so I think that's also part of the work is like having that self-confidence to
Hmm.
to get you there.
Hmm. And also being able to admit and acknowledge to myself that in the past and the experiences that have shaped my partner's feelings, I might not have been as clear or aware, and I might have been forcing things. And this goes back to our conversation about social media. It's like forcing yourself to do the thing that you might not be ready for, or your business might not be ready for, or you might not be able to hold. Like in my first iteration of coaching, I was a life coach and I focused on self love. And this was back in 2016 when no one was talking about self love, let alone there were no men talking about it. And I just got thrown into this world because I was in the right place at the right time. And people were like, self-love, what is that? You're a man. You don't, you're going to talk about men crying? Like, we got to talk about this. And I was on major, massive podcasts, and I was getting so many people applying to my program. I didn't have the emotional capacity or the self-belief to hold all of that. And I was sabotaging myself left and right. Like, at one point, I had 25 people in my group coaching program, and I just was like frozen. I was like, "Oh my God, what is it?" All that money I made, I just went out and spent it because I was just like, I need some sort of release, right? And so here I am having this insane launch that I didn't even like plan, just because I was on this major podcast, and I felt like a fraud because I hadn't done the work to give myself permission to hold who Paul is as the seen, empowered, embodied, self-love visionary. And it brought, like, I wanted to do a reality show. Like, I self-funded a pilot, and to the point that I got so sick that I got a very rare skin disease that uh, I believe was based from like just insane stress and nerve issues, that I couldn't show up on social media. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't walk. I was bedridden, and everything was ripped away from me because the universe was like, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it for you. And that's the only way I can look back at those 3 years of my life that were so challenging. But I look back with so much gratitude, because if I hadn't have, and it taught me to trust myself and not lie to myself about who I am, where I am, what I do have the capacity to hold. Um, but again, sometimes it's fun to just ignore the inner knowing, because, why not?
I was going to say, when you said sometimes we just have to admit to our partner, I was going to say, no, no
No,
admitting.
I'm always right.
We never go.
Well, that's just you being a lawyer.
Virgo.
My husband is also Virgo lawyer. Love that. My husband is a lawyer, and I'm just like, excuse me, I'm not in the courtroom with you, sir. I was like, we are in a relationship right now. I'm not paying you either. Do not invoice me for these hours. We
Sometimes
are to
that bill will
argue.
pop up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Paul, I wanted to ask you this. First of all, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I'd love to have you back on the show. It's amazing. I think what you have to offer goes so much more beyond the idea of personal branding. As you said before, it's really about the inner work. And I think a lot of times we try to skip that. And when you try to skip that inner work, hey, hey, I'm talking about myself now too, it will come back and bite you. And so that's so important for us to do. But I wanted to ask, on behalf of listeners, if someone's listening to this episode today and they're like, I know I have this issue. I have this great big vision for myself, but I feel small. But I know somehow deep inside that I'm not meant to be small. I'm not meant to play it small. What advice would you give them? And that's the first question. Then secondly, how should they contact you?
Mhm. Well, I think that the first thing that I would just say to them is, great noticing. Like, it's really scary to even acknowledge that there might be like a shortcoming in your current iteration of who you are. And also, congratulations for wanting more. Like, that's so exciting. It's so exciting to be at this space where you're ready to take the next step into being the person that you're worthy of being and you're meant to be. The reason a lot of people would come to me and be like, Paul, self-love is so selfish. It's the most selfish thing. Actually, self-love, which I define as the devotion to your individuality, what makes you you. Self is the individual, love is devotion. How Being embodied in self-love is the most selfless thing you can do, because you, the one listening to this who's having these uncomfortable feelings right now, you were put on this planet for a very, very, very specific, special reason. And you have gifts to support and help and heal and empower so many humans. And if you just give yourself permission to start exploring what it looks like to be fully embodied and fully loving and caring, that is the most selfless thing you can do, because you are going to help so many people by being a leader and showing up as the the person that you are put on this planet to be. So if that terrifies you and also excites you at the same time, because those feelings of like excitement and terror and fear and they kind of like feel the same at points. That's why people love horror movies, because they actually are just getting really excited, and people are looking to feel something these days, just head to my Instagram, Paul X Luxury. You'll see a lot of my feed is just me unboxing shoes and just having a good time with fashion. But I too am starting to speak more about the inner work, the embodied work. And if you go to the link in my bio, you can fill out the Image Alchemy uh, coaching application. And it's it's the first step in the experience, because I'm asking you questions that might be scary to admit, but know that I'm on the other side, and the holding space for you and your growth is such a gift, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you for giving yourself permission to even just apply, you know? And if that's as far as you get, I've had people apply 3, 4 times before they even answer the call, and I'm like, "Hey, I've received this application before. Like, are you ready? Are you ready? Let's do this. Come on."
Are you in there? Hello.
Hello. I've read this answer before. I saw this name. Oh, it's a different email. I see that, but it's
Paul, thank you so much for your work, and just for being so transparent and sharing, what this journey has been like for you and how you help other people. I really do hope that someone that's listening to this will take something from it and even just plant the seed and let that seed begin to grow, because it is a process. And a lot of times we have to have those, burnouts, rashes, feeling the stress before we get to the point where we're like, okay, wait a minute, something's wrong. So even if this episode is like the first seed in that process, I'm thankful that you came on the show to share all the information with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a blessing. I'm really grateful.
Thanks, Paul.